of victims killed range from 5 to 61 years old. And when it comes to gun violence in America, the numbers are simply staggering. A portrait of a nation in crisis. The latest tragedy in Texas was the 199th mass shooting of 2023. It's only the 128th day of the year. Chief National
Connor Galloway's perspective. We're going to show you some of that right now, and we want to warn you that this could be hard to watch for some people. Now, the footage is going to begin from the perspective of Officer Wilt. He's pulling up to the Old National Bank, and on that video, you can still hear the pop, pop, pop from the gun of 25-year-old Connor Sturgeon. Police told us yesterday that that gun was a legally purchased AR-15. Sturgeon brought that weapon to the bank where he worked and opened fire into a conference room where bank employees were having a meeting.
There was heavy police presence as young people flooded downtown from Clark to Michigan Avenue. Shots were fired just after 9 last night. A 17-year-old boy was shot in the leg. A 16-year-old boy was shot in the arm while standing on Washington between State and Michigan. Paramedics took both of them to Northwestern Memorial Hospital in fair condition. Large numbers of young people were seen running, jumping on parked cars. Twice, groups of teens were punching, kicking, and stomping on someone on the ground. A car windshield was broken. There was massive traffic jams with officers attempting to control the crowds.
Protesters say they're both concerned about the center's environmental impact and its symbolism.
Some protesters accusing police in this latest incident of violating civil rights.
This is the first time I'm hearing about this protest over the weekend, so just would have to come back with you too.
We begin with the border crisis. We are counting down to the end of Title 42 coming up here in just a few hours. That's the policy that allowed the federal government to reject asylum seekers over COVID concerns.
escaping what she calls the homophobia and the extremely bad conditions there, and praying for a shot at a better life in the U.S. And we also spoke early this morning with Nicole Ramos. Now, she is director of the Border Rights Project at Al Otro Lado. Now, that's a nonprofit which is working on the ground here in Tijuana with the migrants, helping provide them with legal advice.
migrant crisis tonight. The White House will announce a new plan to deal with the growing problem tomorrow.
It is a sweeping new restriction on asylum, but there's also a warning from the president tonight. He says it will be chaotic at the border before it gets better.
We don't expect the buses to stop arriving anytime soon. And importantly, we've seen in the last couple weeks a new surge in migrants coming to Chicago on a daily basis.
48 of today's arrivals were dispatched by the Texas governor. On average, 1 to 200 asylum seekers arrive in Chicago daily. When the surge began last fall, the federal dollars followed. Chicago receiving $5.5 million from FEMA. This spring, that number has dropped to $4 million. Why?
It's an interesting question.
While Lightfoot has blamed Governor Abbott of Texas, she's now signaling a lack of leadership and financial support from the White House.
Welcome back. With the Title 42 border restrictions set to end tonight, officials say that as many as 65,000 migrants are waiting to cross from northern Mexico. This as NBC News learns of a new policy the Biden administration is planning to roll out. NBC News senior national correspondent Tom Thomas has more.
This broadcast to bring you
Ukraine and what would happen to democracy worldwide. We're not talking about right now what's happening in Latin America. We are seeing democracies that have been long-standing really threatened, and as a result, they are getting massive investments from both Russia and China, and they are destabilizing a region that we're seeing the impact at the border. We're also seeing it because of massive climate change, and so unless the president can communicate what is happening at the border and come up with a system that allows for safe migration, it's going to be very difficult. One of the things that I know from folks that are living in El Paso is that the amount of migrants has not only not stemmed, but they don't have enough resources to process them fast enough. So we're hoping that not only can the media have conversations, I think, Tom, the package that you had with Thomas was dead on, having conversations with the people who are impacted, both American citizens and the people that are fleeing, but also having sympathy and understanding that what's going to happen is going to be quite complex.
Rent prices are climbing and climbing at the fastest pace in decades.
That's right. And despite an overall recent decline in the inflation rate, U.S. rent is now at an all-time high. The latest consumer price index reveals rent climbed 0.7% in July.
Americans looking for somewhere new to live are facing huge challenges, whether they're planning to buy or to rent. Take a look at the latest numbers for home sales. They dropped nearly 6% in July, with experts blaming the decline on a shortage of homes to sell. Now, over the past year, sales are down by about 20%, and that is forcing more buyers to continue renting, which is pushing up rental prices. As Carter Evans shows us, some renters are now facing bidding wars they cannot afford.
Looking for a place to rent? Good luck. Michael Citrin is on the hunt for a place in Los Angeles. He's a federal public defender with a legitimate complaint.
I can't even tell you how many places I've applied for and been rejected from.
You're a lawyer. You got a good job.
Yeah.
And you can't find an apartment?
Yeah, and I'm looking with 2 other professionals as well.
Together, they tried to rent this 3-bedroom bungalow in South Los Angeles for $4,100 a month until someone bid the rent up 10%.
I never have expected that there'd be a bidding war for a 12-month lease.
Across the country, average rent rents are skyrocketing, up 86% since last year in Redmond, Washington, 36% in Glendale, California, and in Pflugerville, Texas, outside of Austin, prices are up triple digits.
This megachurch preacher leading a teenager around the church stage with a chain? Why does this Easter service look like this demonic Grammys concert? And why do most churches in America today look like Tony Robbins seminars? Is this church? America has replaced the church with entertainment machines designed to make their customers satisfied and coming back for more. Experiences that I had ever experienced in my life. The most amazing part was that these believers were singing praises to Jesus during this entire process. I remember thinking to myself, could I have that kind of faith? What was even more amazing was the Egyptian church's response to what had happened. The wives and brothers of these men.
I was very proud that my husband stood firm in his faith and that he didn't deny Jesus.
Is the church in America prepared to suffer that kind of persecution if it came to us? Listen to how Jesus describes the church in Laodicea. You say, I am rich, have become wealthy, and have need of nothing, and do not know that you are wretched, miserable, poor, blind, and naked. Doesn't that sound like the churches here in America today? This church's problem was that they relied on material wealth. Think about the United States for a second, and how most people here in the US spend their time thinking about acquiring more wealth so that they can live their dream life or just live more comfortably. But this is really dependent on one big condition, and that is the US dollar. Answer is cryptocurrency or investing in gold. That's not the answer either. Listen to what Jesus tells the church at Laodicea. I counsel you to buy from me gold refined in the fire, that you may be rich. Jesus also said in Matthew, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Those Egyptian Christians and their families were able to praise God because their heart was where their treasure is, with their God in heaven. American churches must stop aspiring to be the next mega church and getting caught up in what I call the Laodicean cycle.
So you trying to fight for real? Yeah, right now. Come on. No, we finna fight after church. No, bitch, right now. No, we gonna fight after church. Right now, because you just say a whole lot of shit on my name. This ain't no. What's up, bitch?